Float mapping is a technique used in planning and sometimes in delay analysis to identify slippage and delay across a project timeline. It seems from my experience that it's normally used primarily as a forensic technique, but I'm a great believer in using simple indicators during the delivery phase to see what's happening to a schedule and predict what might happen if the status quo remains. Most of the attention quite rightly goes to the critical path because this likely determines the completion date or the sectional completion dates, particularly in larger and more complex programs. But when things start going wrong, as they inevitably do on most projects, the easy way to maintain the end date is to reallocate your resources and effort from non-critical works over to the critical works to maintain critical production. However, you can only do that for so long before it catches up with you. Now, projecting float churn can give you an idea of the scale of disruption or inefficiency, or an indicator of how long you can maintain mitigation strategies before time catches up and the whole project swings into problems. Now, you can do this kind of thing using earned value management. However, many projects don't run earned value, and to be honest, this simple approach can be used on projects of any size and scale, and it gives you some valuable information to use both in forward planning of the works and to identify areas of disruption. All you really need for this technique is a program and an Excel spreadsheet. All we simply do is take an export of all the data for all the incomplete activities on a program, and we dump it straight into Excel, into a spreadsheet that then goes through a process of cleaning up and summarizing data so that you get area by area information and float numbers for every update that you do. What you end up with is something like this. On the screen you'll see three sets of data actually, because we're using trend lines as well, so we're using some forecasting data. So the vertical lines where they intersect represents each area and its completion date, its contractual completion date. So this particular project has got 4 areas with contractual completion dates. And then the line graphs are plotting how much average total float remains in each one of these areas. Now obviously that's built up of a number that's very close to or actually is 0 if it's critical path, all the way up to larger numbers. So this is just taking an average. It is not an exact science, but you're looking for trends on how much overall float's being burned through each update. And then what we do is we switch on the trend line forecasting function. And what we're trying to identify is where the intersect is for when all of the float's exhausted compared to where the completion date is. So if we take this particular example in orange, this is the area served by transformer 2. The completion date occurs way before the float burn. So you would imagine that in that instance, we're on track to hit that completion date before we burn all the float. So although the line is trending downwards, it's not at an alarming rate compared to where the completion date is. If we compare that to the grey line, which is the area served by transformer 4, we can see that the intersect date for the completion date is way to the right of where we're going to burn all of our float. So theoretically at this point in November 2019 there'll be no float left on area 4, which means that everything that happens from there on in will impact the completion date. So although it's not an exact science, it does give you an idea of areas that are burning float more rapidly than others, and you can investigate the reasons why that might be. It also gives you an idea of whether any areas are in significant trouble. So in this example, only one area really is in any way, shape or form comfortable. The other 3, the blue line is too close for comfort, the yellow line is definitely too close for comfort, and the grey line's already knackered. So there's something that we need to do. Now obviously what sits behind this are the reasons why there's been float burn, why is productivity down, why are things inefficient, and that's a subject for another video. But this is just a nice easy tool that you can use even if you just have one area, one completion date. You can see how much total float's being burnt through each update and investigate those reasons why.